Something's wrong with that kid. Kevin Spencer. His head don't work, it never did. You better not cross his path. Kevin Spencer. He's a chain-smoking alcoholic sociopath.
Kevin was on his way to adult prison, and he was scared. Being locked in a cage wasn't what frightened him, since he'd already spent almost half his life in and out of juvenile halls and mental health facilities because of his anger issues and problems dealing with authority. He was scared of the older convicts. They looked pretty mean, and Kevin was intimidated by them. Kevin had heard stories from some of the ex-cons he used to go drinking with when he was 11 that if people weren't afraid of you in jail, then they'd take advantage of you. Just like they did to his old man whenever he was in the joint. Kevin sure didn't like the sounds of that. He figured he'd better make the other inmates afraid of him, right quick. The first thing the lousy screws did to Kevin was to make him and all the other new prisoners take off their clothes and have a group shower. Kevin got as far as taking off his shirt, then he froze with self-conscious fear. He didn't much like the idea of being naked in front of a bunch of other men because of what his father had taught him about people like that.
Bible says homos is wrong.
So instead of taking off his pants, Kevin rushed one of the guards and cranked him a real sweet one in the kidney. Kevin was hoping to put the boots to him, but before he could lift his foot, one of the other guards hit him with his nightstick right in the back of the head. When Kevin came to, he was in a small room with really soft walls, wearing just his underwear. It was the room where they kept the violent sociopaths. Kevin knew this because it looked just like the ones in all the juvenile halls and mental institutions where he'd spent most of his teen years. Kevin sure wished he had some smokes and prescription cough syrup to help pass the time, but since he didn't, he figured he might just as well get some more rest. Kevin curled up and went to sleep. Kevin dreamed about smoking. Then he dreamed about drinking cough syrup. Then he dreamed about smoking and drinking cough syrup. Then he dreamed about what it would be like to be 75 feet tall with chainsaws instead of hands that he could use to lop the heads off of all his betrayers. Kevin had this dream a lot, and it was his favorite, because he was insane. One of the conditions of Kevin's jail time was that he visit the prison psychiatrist 3 times a week. Most prisoners only had to go once. That's because most prisoners were a lot more stable than Kevin.
Good morning, Kevin. My name is Mr. Franklin, and I'm here to help you.
Kevin wasn't much in the mood for any help.
That's good, Kevin. Expressing your emotion is a positive issue-oriented response. In this office, you are free to express whatever is on your mind. There are no barriers and no judgments.
Kevin liked the idea of no barriers and no judgments, and he really liked the idea of expressing whatever was on his mind. Unfortunately for Mr. Franklin, Kevin had been thinking about throwing his coffee mug at him. It was a good thing for Mr. Franklin that Kevin's dad had never played catch with him, or any other game for that matter.
I've studied the court documents from your trial, and despite what the judge, the prosecution lawyers, your parole officer, the teachers and students at your school, and your parents said, I don't think you are a worthless, lost cause. So let's talk about your parents. What kind of people were they?
When Kevin's dad, Percy Spencer, was 18, he enlisted in the Army because he'd been arrested for vagrancy so many times that the judge told him if he didn't get a job, he was going to jail for a good long time.
Up yours, prick.
The old man wasn't much for working, and he didn't have any job skills because he was an alcoholic and had quit school halfway through grade 6 when he turned 16. The first day of boot camp was really hard.
You are all worthless, putrid pieces of scum that I've been handed the sorry task of trying to mold into men. Most of you won't last, and the ones that do are gonna hate me anyway.
Shut your hole, I got a headache from drinking.
Percy still had a few things to learn about Army life. After he hit the drill sergeant, they put him in a metal shed out in the middle of the field for 6 hours to try and sweat some sense into him. When the guards opened the door to see if he'd learned his lesson, he kicked one of them right in the crotch and ran towards the fence to escape. But because Kevin's dad had been a heavy smoker since he was 7.5 years old, he only made it halfway to the fence before he had a stroke. While he was recuperating in the hospital, he broke into the medicine cabinet and stole a bunch of morphine and Percodan. Then he went AWOL, sold the drugs to some teenagers, and went on a 3-week drinking binge. Percy had hoped the binge would last longer, but he ran out of money. So he decided to go back to the army base to get a few good nights' rest and to try and steal some more drugs.
I got no money, so F off.
The drill sergeant told him he was being dishonorably discharged. Those were pretty big words for Kevin's old man, and he didn't know what they meant. But just in case they were a come-on, Percy punched the drill sergeant square in the larynx, just so people wouldn't think he was fruity. Then he went to the hospital barracks and stole a bunch of codeine and sleeping pills. That ought to learn the army a thing or two, he thought. Anastasia Blunt had been a rodeo clown groupie ever since she lost her virginity to one when she was 13. She'd spent the last few years following Large Mike's rodeo and rope trick caravan across North America. Large Mike wasn't a very good businessman, and he was down to one clown. One night, the clown got really whacked on 100 proof tequila and decided to tease the bull. A whole lot more than bulls like.
Hey, Bull! You're a stupid goof!
That ain't good thinking.
Because he was so loaded, Happy the rodeo clown couldn't run worth a damn, and the bull caught him and stuck his horn right through Happy's spine. Because the doctor said Happy would never walk again and his days as a rodeo clown were over, Anastasia found herself without a whole lot to do. Percy didn't like having to walk places, especially since his heart attack. But he was too poor to afford a car, and even if he could, he wouldn't be allowed to drive because of his 13 driving while impaired charges and the $4,600 he owed in parking tickets. Still, it was pretty hot out, and Percy figured he was a long way from any cops, so he decided to steal the next car he saw. The chip wagon was the nicest car Percy had ever been in, and the man he'd stolen it from had $27 in his pocket. Percy thought there must be big money in running a chip wagon to have that kind of scratch lying around. To celebrate his newfound freedom, he bought a big jug of wine, ate a handful of the pills he'd stolen, and decided to see how fast a chip wagon could go. Percy wasn't as far away from the cops as he thought. Anastasia was stuck in the middle of nowhere. Large Mike had promised to take her with him if she slept with him, but after he was done, he just laughed and drove away. Anastasia figured she'd have the last laugh, though, because she'd stolen his wallet out of his pants and because Happy had given her syphilis. Anastasia figured she'd hitchhike to Nashville and try and meet some more clowns. That's when Percy drove past. Their eyes locked, and it was love at first sight. Then a bunch of police cars drove past her. Maybe it was just the codeine and wine talking, but Percy was in love. He decided to ask the woman to marry him.
You're so pretty you make a man want to do it regular with you. You in?
I got syphilis.
Who don't?
I'll wait for you, sugar, and I'll see a doctor about my privates.
Don't forget the smoke! Don't forget the smoke!
It was Kevin's second week in adult prison. He was still pretty scared and nervous, but he wasn't alone anymore because his dad had just been sentenced to 2 years less a day for public drunkenness and discharging a firearm within the city limits. And he was in a cell not far from Kevin's.
This here's my boy. Boy, this here's your Uncle Mike and your Uncle Frank. Them 3 guys is Frank's kids. Them others belong to Mike and his wife, even though he ain't but fathered one of them.
Bootlegger fathered the others because me and the missus ain't had jobs or money for drinking.
How long you in for, boy?
Kevin told his uncles and cousins that he was doing 25 to life. They all laughed at him because he had the longest sentence. Then they took turns telling him what they were going to do when they were free, and he was still in jail. It was a fun get-together. Kevin wanted the good times to continue, but suddenly the exercise yard went silent. There was a new prisoner. His name was Slappy Bigelow. Most people already knew him because he'd only been released 2 weeks earlier. Slappy was the meanest man in prison, and he liked to hurt people and intimidate them, so they would do things for him. Kevin remembered what the ex-cons had said to him when he used to get loaded with them. If people aren't afraid of you in prison, then you'll be in big trouble. Kevin figured he'd better lay down some ground rules right quick so Slappy wouldn't get any ideas. His cousin Louis never saw it coming. Kevin figured since his cousin Louis now had a broken jaw, he wouldn't be needing his smokes. It was the middle of the summer and Percy Spencer was being released from prison. Percy and Kevin's mom had written letters to each other almost every day, which wasn't as big a deal as it might seem because neither one of them knew a lot of words, so the letters were pretty short. Kevin's dad got all his clothes back and the prison warden gave him $50 release money.
I swear I ain't never going back.
My syphilis is gone.
Mine too. You got any smokes?
Yeah.
Come on. It's time you and me done some living.
Percy decided to spend his money on the woman he loved to thank her for all the smokes and illegal liquor she had brought him while he was in jail. $50 doesn't go a long way, and pretty soon they were down to their last $2. Kevin's parents decided to spend the money on Nevada tickets, aiming to win a nice little chunk of pocket change. But all the tickets were losers. So instead of thinking about getting jobs, Kevin's mom faked she was having a stroke, and when the cashier went to help her, Kevin's dad cleaned out the till and took a few packs of smokes, some porno magazines, and a hairbrush and compact set for the woman he loved.
Way better than at least half the women I paid for.
Kevin's mom thought that Percy was calling her a prostitute, so she cuffed him with an empty bottle of wine and told him to get his useless convict ass out of her bed before she phoned the cops and turned him in for ripping off the liquor store. Percy didn't much like being talked to like that, and he aimed to straighten things out. But before he could get to his feet, Kevin's mom caught him with a left hook to the kidney and a real sweet one right in the temple. Percy was already dizzy because he was loaded, and the punches sure didn't help things. He passed out cold. When Percy woke up 2 hours later, his head was in Kevin's mom's lap, and she was crying really hard.
Mama, sorry, babe. I promise I will never hit you again. Mama loves you, sweet. You're still my sugar, ain't you?
You got a smoke?
After Percy cleared his head and smoked a few more cigarettes, he made love to the woman he loved.
Maybe you're better than any rodeo clown I've ever had.
Then he stole the neighbor's pickup truck, drove into town, and ripped off some more booze. Kevin's dad was wrong when he said he was never going back to prison.
Mama will wait for you, sugar.
Bring smokes.
I forgot to tell you, I ain't on the bill.
I ain't supporting no kids. You tricked me, you effing temptress.
Kevin's mom didn't like being called names, so she said that Percy was a dumb unemployed son of a bitch who was too stupid to get a job and support anything. Percy told her to shut her hole and that there were plenty of other women in the world who would be happy to take up with a man like him. Kevin's mom laughed. Then she told the cops about the cash and porno magazines so Percy would get a few extra months tacked onto his sentence. She figured that ought to teach the moron a thing or two.
Don't forget the smoke!
I'm sorry, baby. I love you. Don't take my baby.
Kevin's mom was so upset that she threw a bottle of rye right through the back window of the police cruiser. She was sentenced to 3 months in jail for obstruction of justice. This really made Kevin's dad angry because now there was no one to bring him smokes. It was visiting day at prison, and Kevin's mom was excited because she hadn't seen her son and husband in almost a month. She was supposed to visit every week, but because of her drinking, a lot of times she just forgot to go. She had a fresh carton of smokes for Kevin and one for his dad. Uncle Mike and Uncle Frank's wives were there too, and almost all of their kids, except for the ones who were in different prisons. It was the first time Kevin had ever been to a family reunion, and he thought it was really fun. Kevin especially liked the potato sack race and the softball game, even though he struck out every time, and his dad kept laughing and calling him a useless idiot.
Why don't you hit the damn ball and quit embarrassing the family, you stupid effing freak?
That was the kind of thing that would bother most kids, but Kevin was pretty much used to it. After lunch, the women broke open the bottles of liquor they'd smuggled in, and the men took out the bootleg booze they'd made in prison. Everyone got real good and loaded. Kevin wished his mom had brought the cough syrup he'd asked for, but he was happy she'd just remembered to come at all.
Who's my little cowboy? Who's my cowboy? You are, Kevin. That's who, Slugger, your mama's little cowboy. Oh, Jesus, boy. Why'd you have to be like your useless father? Jesus, boy.
Which one of you dumb son of a bitch convicts want to dance?
Uncle Mike's wife had brought a tape deck. She put in her new Best of TV theme songs cassette and started to dance. Pretty soon, everybody joined in. Kevin didn't really like dancing, but he didn't want to be left out. Uncle Frank asked Kevin's mom to dance. The first song was a fast one, so that was okay. Then a slow song came on, and they started to kiss, because they were both so drunk that they figured no one would notice. They were wrong.
It's showtime!
Kevin's dad jumped on Uncle Frank's back, and they fell to the floor. All of Kevin's relatives started to cheer.
You got a gimp leg, Frank. Kick him in the leg. You got a gimp leg.
Pretty soon, though, it got kind of boring just standing there watching Kevin's dad and Uncle Frank fight, so the rest of them decided to get in on the action and let off some steam. Kevin didn't really have any reason to hit anyone, but that wasn't the kind of thing that had ever stopped him before. He picked up a chair and threw it as hard as he could. Louis never saw it coming. Kevin figured that since Louis's jaw was re-broken, he wouldn't have much use for the smokes he was carrying, or the money in his pocket. Things had worked out so well the first time that Kevin figured he'd throw another chair to see if he couldn't collect enough for a whole carton of smokes. He was itching to smack his old man a good one, but because he was still good and buzzed on bootleg liquor, he missed completely and hit Johnny Felsen. Johnny Felsen was Slappy Bigelow's best friend. After the guards broke up all the fights, they sent everyone home. Kevin's mom said it was the nicest party she'd been to in a long time, and she cried when she left and promised to be back the next week with more smokes. Kevin could hardly wait.
I have to tell you, Kevin, I'm excited. The more I discover of your childhood, the more I am convinced that beneath your troubled exterior lies a young man crying out for the loving embrace of a father figure. Let me be that father figure you never had. Let me play catch with you and teach you how to tie a tie. I want to give you unconditional love.
Kevin didn't understand a lot of the big words, but he pretended he did, so Mr. Franklin wouldn't think he was a moron. Besides, thought Kevin, it was a whole lot safer in Mr. Franklin's office now that Slappy was looking to tear him a new one for hitting his best friend with a chair. Kevin's mom was 8 months pregnant, and it was a big day because her husband was getting paroled.
I ain't got no money, so F off!
You ain't lost your touch, sugar.
You got any smokes? I've been thinking, what, because of the extra child support and me loving you, we ought to get hitched.
I always knew you'd make an honest woman out of me.
You in, Percy?
I sure as hell sweet F&M.
Aw, you're my angel sent from heaven, baby.
So how's about it, Anastasia? You want to unbastard your upcoming bundle of joy?
I do.
Well, I might tell you to kiss her, but it looks like you already got past first base long time ago.
Yeah, first date.
Oh, Jesus! My water broke!
Kevin's mom rushed to the hospital, and his dad went to the liquor store to get a bottle for celebrating. Then he stopped off to buy some lottery tickets, met a guy he knew from prison, and went on a 3-day drinking binge. By the time they met their father, Kevin and his brother were almost 4 days old.
We ain't got room for two. Which one you want to keep?
Kevin was my firstborn. He'll always be special to me. But he don't smile none or make no noise. He just lies there, staring straight ahead.
Kevin's dad figured that not smiling or doing anything was a whole lot easier to look after than a baby who wanted a lot of attention. So they gave the other one up for adoption. Kevin's mom cried so hard when they took the baby away to his new parents that her gin and 7 came out her nose and put out her cigarette. Kevin's dad decided they should all go down to the mall to get more lottery tickets and have a real nice family portrait taken.
Even then you could see he weren't right in the head.
It was the end of Kevin's first month in adult prison, and things were going pretty well so far. The other prisoners pretty much left him alone, mostly because there was a lot of publicity surrounding Kevin's trial, and just about everyone knew he was sociopathically insane. Everyone except Slappy Bigelow. Slappy was pretty sore at Kevin for hitting his best friend in the head with a chair, and figured it was time for Kevin to learn just who was boss. Slappy was really giving it to Kevin. Kevin's imaginary friend, Alan the Magic Goose, told Kevin that he shouldn't let himself be pushed around like that.
Learn him a good one, Kevin.
Kevin really wanted to slug Slappy right in the throat, but Slappy was a whole lot bigger than him. Kevin figured he'd bide his time. Later that day, when all the other prisoners of his cell block were in the common room watching Baywatch, Kevin snuck into Slappy's cell and set it on fire. Kevin figured that ought to learn the ignorant prick a thing or two.
You are a genius, Kevin Spencer, and now you must sleep.
Maybe life in prison wasn't going to be so bad after all. Leastwise not for me, thought Kevin.